What was the other thing that you were going to bring up, Chris?
Well, okay, so this just goes back to we need to look at history before we start trying to change the future, because oftentimes we just keep cycling through.
Mm-hmm.
And the other subject is rent control, which we've talked a lot about last time. And the fact that, rent control came into effect in first in Berkeley. That was the home of rent control.
Really?
And yeah, in
Berkeley. Not. I would have expected New York to be, as we were staying on the New York trend, but I would have never guessed Berkeley.
When I'm reading this, Berkeley.
Wow.
And so everything was under rent control. All houses, apartments, everything, new construction, the whole deal. And so what happened is the rental quality and the quality of life in Berkeley started to go downhill pretty fast, because landlords just couldn't afford to keep the properties up. They just left them vacant. Storefronts closed, and Berkeley became a pretty awful place in the late 60s. It just very, very run down, even around the campus. So they decided, you know what, Costa, a legislative guy, last name Costa, another one Hawkins, got together, a Republican and a Democrat, if you can imagine that. And
different era.
Yeah, they passed
a
bill which passed with bipartisan support in the California legislature. And what that did is it changed what properties were subject to rent control and which ones were not. For example, they said, look, we do want new construction, so we're going to say that's not subject to rent control, because who's going to build when you can't, it'll never pay off. So they said, well, for the 15 years, right, you build something new for 15 years, it's not subject to rent control. And then they also came back and said, look, if you have a single family home that you're trying to live in, it's not subject to rent control. So only multifamily properties were under rent control. And lo and behold, Berkeley revived, new construction happened, the storefronts opened, and Berkeley is what it is today. And this happened in other cities, and then the similar bills came along and sort of saved the city, because they said not everything is subject to rent control. Well, what do we have come up in a very, very strong way, and I fear that it's going to happen, is in our California legislators every year come along and they want to go back and get rid of Costa-Hawkins and say, no, let's have everything be subject to rent control. And that concept is gaining more and more and more support.